Remember this crazy Atlanta area judge, Christina Peterson? Well, she has been removed from the bench, but maybe not for the reason that you think. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Atlanta area probate judge, Christina Peterson, being removed from the bench by the Georgia Supreme Court. Now, she was removed maybe not for the reason that you're thinking. I did a video about her a few days ago where she was fist fighting outside of a club in the Buckhead area of Atlanta, trying to fight the cops and fighting random people at the ripe old age of 38. Shouldn't have been out there in the middle of the night anyway. Should have been at the house, should have been reading and preparing for her next day, just living a regular, normal life. But no, I got to be a hot girl. I got to have my summer. I got to go out, have fun, get drunk, punch officers, all this, that, and the third. Now she's facing a felony for that whole kerfuffle, obstruction of justice and assaulting an officer. But there were some other things going on before she even went to the club. You're talking about at least 20 to as many as 50 ethics violations while she was a judge, including locking a woman up because she was married to a black man and she's Asian, having an unauthorized wedding in the actual courthouse, pushing a panic button because the deputy that escorts her from point A to point B was late. All kind of things she did, which resulted in them saying that she is engaging in systemic incompetence. Now, we're going to get into a lot. We got quite a few things to get into. And of course, I will link to everything in the box. But first things first, let's look at this video here of them talking about her removal from the bench. And you see this little title here, Douglas County judge removed from bench for reasons unrelated to arrest. They want to say that. I think that's not necessarily relevant to make that point because the arrest, that was really, in my opinion, the straw on the camel's back. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Douglas County judge has been removed from her position following an opinion released this morning by the Georgia State Supreme Court. Now, this decision isn't connected to the felony charge Christina Peterson is facing after an arrest outside of an Atlanta lounge last week, but dozens of judicial misconduct violations found well before then. 11 West Teresa Bowles has Peterson and her attorney's response, as well as reaction from Douglasville residents.
Not even a week after the arrest of a Douglas County judge was caught on camera.
I don't care!
Christina Peterson has been removed from office, but the arrest has little to do with it. The Georgia Supreme Court laid out 28 proven counts of judicial misconduct out of 30 alleged violations while she was a probate judge.
28.
Now let's pause. Again, the arrest, in my opinion, is just, it's evidence of a pattern. This is her behavior. Inside the courtroom, outside the courtroom, you have just a hood rat type individual. She shouldn't be in the role of a probate judge.
Violation, that's a lot.
The court explains Peterson's violations include improper conduct toward county officials and inappropriate use of court resources.
She's not fit because she's a corruption business or she thinks she could push things on the table or abuse of power.
This removal is immediate, and a spokesperson for Douglas County tells me nothing like this has ever happened before to one of their judges. Peterson can't be a judge in the state of Georgia for the next 7 years, which Douglasville resident Sandra McBean believes is fair.
Give her time to rethink what she have done.
Peterson disagrees, posting this on Instagram. These attacks on me have been occurring since 2015. As I stated, this is a setup and this is not justice.
All right, so they're skipping. But I hate when they put up posts and then they don't read it. So she said, these attacks on me have been occurring since 2015. They got more aggressive when I was elected judge. As I stated, this was a setup.
Peterson's attorney,
and it's not justice,
said in part, quote, we were able to provide her with a vigorous defense in court, getting numerous counts dismissed and fighting off 2 motions for interim suspension. The latest motion.
Now, the thing about it, they were able to get some of the counts dismissed because initially there were as many as 50 counts, but now there's just 20. 50, 30, 20, it doesn't really matter. This person shouldn't be in this role as a probate judge. She shouldn't be in office at all. She should be in the penitentiary making big rocks to little rocks, in my humble opinion.
in the case detailed last Thursday's arrest outside Red Martini Lounge in Buckhead. Peterson is accused of hitting an officer. She faces 2 charges for this, including a felony. The attorney representing Peterson in her criminal case maintains that it was a misunderstanding and Peterson was breaking up a fight.
Now, you can see this right here. There's a guy, it's kind of hard to see this, but there's a guy attacking a woman, and Christina Peterson jumped in to try and break it up. But there's 2 things here. First of all, she shouldn't even been out there at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in Buckhead outside of this club fighting at 38 years old as a probate judge. That's the first thing. The second thing, that's not related to her punching the officer in the face when they show up to try to break up the fight. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just say, oh, I was trying to help somebody. Well, what were you doing when you punched the cop in the face? What was that all about? And then they want to get silent and not have anything to say about that. That's part of the reason why she got charged with a felony.
When you hold office, you're accountable.
A Douglas County representative says a senior judge will likely appoint a retired judge to finish Peterson's term ending in December. McBean is hoping this won't happen again with the next judge.
Now, that's that, but let's go ahead and get to some more here. Let's get to exactly what she was doing. This is an older video. This is from 2 months ago, April 1st, 24. This is going to be just a few of the things that she did that resulted in the systemic incompetence and the ultimate removal from the bench. Let's go ahead and check it out.
An extraordinary development tonight in the long-running investigation into Douglas County Judge Christina Peterson.
In a rare move, a hearing panel decided Peterson is guilty of, quote, systemic incompetence and should not remain in office. Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis explains.
Did you want to take a break?
Christina Peterson did not do herself any favors during 7 days of hearings beginning last September. The JQC hearing panel's report criticized her for not taking any responsibility for the 30 counts of judicial misconduct lodged against her.
I just don't have a memories of my dad. I don't know who he is.
Now, this was crazy. This woman right here, this was really crazy. She was locked up because ultimately she was married to a black man. Let me see if they explain what happened. If they don't, I'm going to explain it.
The most troubling, wrote the panel, Peterson's decision to jail this woman for trying to amend her marriage certificate to include the real name of her recently discovered father.
Did you go to this hearing with any idea that you may be going to jail?
No.
PJ Skelton served 2 days of a 20-day jail sentence for contempt before her husband could pay a $500 fine. Such a hasty and shockingly disproportionate reaction is the hallmark of Peterson's intemperance.
Now, let's pause. Yes, the reason Peterson may say is because of the marriage license. Ultimately, what happened was this. She realized who her real father was. She wanted to go back to amend the marriage license just to make sure everything was good, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. But when Christina Peterson saw her husband in the courtroom and he's a black man, she gets upset. So she holds this woman in contempt of court and orders her to go to jail. And the only way she was able to get out is her husband paying the $500 fee. Now, some people are going to say, well, why was she in jail for the 2 days before the $500 was paid? Do you know that most Americans, or maybe at least 40% of Americans, don't have an extra $500 just to be spending on anything? They don't have that. Like, they're living check to check quite literally. $500 is a lot of money just to be able to pay to get somebody out of jail immediately.
Wrote the panel. The report criticized Peterson's attempt at this meeting to get her HOA board to settle a lawsuit she had filed, even though she knew the HOA was represented by an attorney. Peterson's attempts to avoid responsibility for these clear violations bordered on the farcical, severely eroding her credibility with the hearing panel.
You cannot go in this building, and eventually she went in.
Now, before they get to this unauthorized wedding, the HOA situation, now, she wound up suing and winning for her clients. It was like $70,000, but she kept the $70,000 and did not give it to her clients. I mean, this person shouldn't be free.
The sheriff's office said Peterson ignored their orders and held a wedding after hours, allowing people inside without deputies present. She once hit a panic button when a deputy was late escorting her to court, causing a temporary panic among security. And when county staff criticize her actions, it quickly triggers allegations of obstructionism or even racism. These communications and actions reveal a judge who publicly vilifies colleagues, is quick to threaten them with unnecessary legal action, and generally projects a spiteful and vainglorious persona.
I'm the first African-American female and Democrat. Yes. I was never celebrated or congratulated.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you shouldn't be just because you're black, you're female, whatever. How about being celebrated for doing good things? How about being celebrated for being an asset to your community rather than a liability? There's more here, but you get the general gist of what's going on. She had a lot of ethics violations. It wasn't just a one-off thing, a mistake, a mishap. It's a continuous pattern of terrible behavior, and it culminated with the whole Red Martini kerfuffle where she was fighting people and fighting cops, and now she's locked up facing a felony charge. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the Georgia Supreme Court for getting this lady off the bench. Hopefully, they replace her with somebody who's actually competent, and I believe she was elected, so at a certain point, whoever is voting, do a little bit more due diligence, a little bit more research of who you're voting for, because that individual we saw on the screen should have never been in those shoes at all. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on Christina Peterson? Should she be in her seat as a probate judge? Should she be free? Should she have ever been here to begin with? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is probably one of the worst elected officials I've seen in a minute. And we've seen some bad ones. I'm not going to say she's the absolute worst now. I'm not going to say she's as bad as some of these federales, like a Dick Cheney or somebody like that, shoot people in the head, getting them to apologize on camera for them. I'm not saying she's up to that level, but she's pretty bad. And I hope that the replacement, again, is nowhere near as bad as she is and is actually competent and is able to do their job as requested. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.